is reducing the latency, how fast they can switch.
Yeah.
And those optimizations are like blood, sweat, and tears. But
Yeah.
like I firmly believe we can get it down to like 100 milliseconds, which is going to be close to the speed of light.
That's super cool, and I think it matters. And people say like, does a lot of people I think are trying to figure out, does latency matter? Sort of my answer is like, I mean, it's different for different applications, but you're a human. You know what speed matters for most of what you do, right? It's just everyone knows the answer. Like, after how long are you frustrated that you click something and nothing happens? And the answer is 100 milliseconds matters, but isn't it, like, that's sort of what you're expecting as like human reaction time. A second is about what you expect for like round trip responsiveness from things, and anything more than that starts to feel kind of slow. And so I think there's like a natural scale for this for a lot of things, where like you're talking about 100 milliseconds is sort of the base unit of latency, and getting down to that doesn't allow everything, but it allows a lot of things to feel super smooth. Another thing I'd say, just like when I hear that, is that's so different than how almost any other chain talks. The way that you talked about like throughput on Solana, it's like almost every other chain, it's like, this is the number. It's like, this is hard-coded into the protocol. Maybe in 5 years, we're going to have some giant clash over whether to double that number. And I think that Solana is like the whole fucking protocol is built around like, no, bigger numbers are better if you can get them. And like, we should try to naturally scale with Moore's law, and we should try to like remove inefficiencies where we can to grab those measly factors of 100 in total value of the network in limit cases. And it's just almost no one else is thinking about it that way. And it's just like hugely different to think about scaling not as like a checkbox, but as a core thing that can always be better, and that you should always be be keeping in mind.
I mean, this is like, I'm an engineer, right? And this is what I spent like a decade on, is I don't even know how to think differently. So,
right.
So this is why we're doing it. Is mostly like, I think there's also kind of a fundamental reason why that's important is because the lower you can make those, the higher like capacity you can increase, the cheaper the transactions get, and you can start then like it becomes like almost stupid to not use it. Like if you're talking about like building a social network, like you could build it on a decentralized platform and capture more value because it's decentralized. And if the costs of operations are now as cheap as like AWS, you wouldn't not make that choice, right? Like you would kind of like just kind of start using the system as AWS at some point, because
and more general terms, like, hey, I've got an idea. What if you took the internet, but you restricted it to only 2015 levels of throughput? Everyone would be like, no, how about not that idea? Like, how about what we're doing now instead? Like, I kind of like the fact that we can do more now, and that things aren't slowing to a halt over time.
So there's a question for you, I think. What needs to happen to get like 100x daily trading volume in Serum?
Oh, it's so easy. I mean, it's right. And when I say that, why do I say it's so easy? First, I'm going to give a stupid answer to that question. Let's say, first of all, I'm not going to self-trade, right? The easiest way, I just sit there clicking. But like, whatever, ignore that. If you want 100x trading volume, what would you do? Ethereum DeFi has shown an answer here. You can pay people for it. So if the second we put yield on Serum, the numbers explode. Now it's sort of silly in the same way that Ethereum-based DeFi numbers are silly right now. But you could do it, and kind of thinking about doing it almost just as like a lark. Like, what would happen, if we paid like $100,000 a day for people to trade on Serum? Like, how much volume would there be? I think you get a lot of volume. So, the first answer is that you put some yield in the system, and all the numbers go wacky. But I think a key part of that is I can support it. Like, it's not like you can't do that. It doesn't break if you do that. It can support billions of dollars of volume today with matching engines and everything else. And the liquidity is there too. You pull up one of these, pull up a Serum DEX. It's liquid. It's sort of like comparably liquid to decentralized exchanges. Like, there's really nothing fundamentally stopping it, except people choosing to use it as an execution platform. And whether it's because it's incentivized or whether it's just because you're like, oh wait, this actually is as good as a centralized exchange experience. Not there yet. There's a lot of UI work that needs to be done, but it can get there. And as liquid, and also it's on chain and composable and trustless, like that's pretty cool, right? And like some big firms decide to move over and start trading there, like literally